Warm-up trivia. Is consensual sex while on duty legal in South Carolina? No, it's not. Adultery and fornication are offenses against morality and decency and can result in fines or imprisonment. If an officer or a first responder engage in sex with a prostitute while on duty, is that a felony? Not a felony. That is a misdemeanor. Does officer and first responder misconduct have to be reported to the South Carolina Criminal Justice Academy? Law enforcement agencies or departments within the state must report the misconduct to the academy. Does the sheriff's department have to list a active roster of police officers with photo identification for public access? No, they do not, but some do. Is there a national public website that supports public relations and transparency and allows these agencies to all be on one site location? Yes, uspolicedepartments.org. Really neat site. Of the 46 counties in South Carolina, 16 participate on this site in some fashion. There's still work to be done, but it is a start. Please pause your video and look at that information if any of it really is interesting for you. I'm going to keep this going. I know yesterday was long, so today I'm going to try to keep it short. So this officer was asked to do what he did, and he did it, trying to do a good job based on his performance evaluation. This is his job. He wants to keep it. He wants to do well. He obviously wants to stay in good graces with his superior officers. So there's always another side to the story, though.
Tickets that she did not catch at the time, not until I called her and asked her to describe what the officer who pulled her over looked like. Was it Greg Block or Jarrell Wright? Did this person stop you and ticket you?
I've never seen that person before, ever.
Did this person ticket you?
Yes, sir. That is the officer that pulled me over and gave me my tickets.
How did you recognize him?
I knew him because he was bald and he was light-skinned. I could just, by his distinct features, I knew who he was. And then whenever I went into court, it just so happened to be the officer from McBee that had got shot. And he was in there bragging about how he had bullets still in him and everything and talking about that kind of stuff. So I knew that was him.
Deese's first court date was rescheduled to the following month.
Did you ever receive a notice of that court date?
I did not.
The judge later tried Natalie Deese in her absence, finding her guilty and ordering her to pay the town more than $600 in fines. Deese says she had no idea any of this had happened until she got a letter in the mail telling her the DMV had suspended her license. Now, nearly 2 years after that traffic stop, her license is still suspended and she's still scraping up money to pay off her fines to the town of McBee.
This is crooked. This ain't right. And they got more than just me with that, and that infuriates me alone. That's so sad. It really makes you think, how many people really did get hit like this?
Have you ever laid eyes on this man?
No,
before?
sir. I've never seen this man.
We didn't have to look hard to find people caught in this. Jalen Jackson drove from his home near Myrtle Beach to McBee on September 19th, 2024. He was there to buy a truck, and on his way out of town, he filled up at this gas station, then turned south to head home.
I came out of the parking lot past the intersection. I was fooled by, I believe, an unmarked vehicle. Basically, he was saying I ran a red light, which I never passed through the red light.
Jarrell Wright, acting as Lieutenant Greg Block, wrote Jackson 3 tickets totaling $700. Instead of driving the 200-mile, 4-hour round trip back to McBee to fight the tickets, Jackson decided to plead guilty to a non-point registration violation and paid the $440 fine through the town's online court portal.
Did you know at the time of this traffic stop or at any point in time that the name on that ticket is
No,
not?
sir. I had no idea.
Who have you learned that this is?
This is Lieutenant Greg Block. This is the man who ticketed me right here.
And do you now know that is Jarrell Wright?
Yeah.
3.5 hours after Jarrell Wright stopped Jalen Jackson, He was ambushed in that traffic stop with Alston Maudlin while working overtime, writing tickets in Greg Block's name.
If you had it to do over, do you think you would have made a different decision and flipped tickets on behalf of another officer?
I probably would have questioned it a little more. I will not sit here and say that I would not have done it, but I probably would have questioned a little more.
So there's a lot going on here. There's a lot of people who are very mad at this officer. They don't have any sympathy for him or anybody else on that, that particular police force. So there's a couple things. So first off, we need to be able to see our officers. The website that I showed you, you can go there, you can pull it up, and I will have to give Richland County the most credit. You go to their website, you pull up their officers. They're very transparent about their officers in a straightforward kind of way. So another thing is impersonating an officer. If you're not assigning tickets in your own name, then you're impersonating an officer. You're impersonating an agent of law enforcement who you are not. Regardless of whether you're an officer or you're not an officer, you're not that officer. And that dishonesty is not okay. But as was acknowledged by the mayor, by everybody, in this conversation, the mayor just acknowledged that he expected, the officers to control the speeding. And we saw examples that suggested that had a dual meaning. We saw statistics where this department, which is like a mile, it's not big, it's not a big town, it wrote as many tickets in 2024 as the Columbia, where they have some nefarious drivers. So there's just a lot going on here, and it needs to be talked about. So I would really love to see more transparency with the officers being viewable on the website. I don't see the problem with that. You're putting up flock cameras everywhere in the world so you can track us from state to state. But you don't want to be associated by your name with your department. There's room for improvement there.
I had to take it out of my rent money that month, actually. I definitely did.
People like Natalie Deese and Jalen Jackson paid the price for this.
If the South Carolina Law Enforcement Division, if they were to contact you, would you talk to them?
Yeah, I would. I mean, somehow, some way to kind of sort this out, because I could use that right now, because I'm still trying to piece things together.
Are you prepared to tell law enforcement about this?
I'll tell law enforcement anything they need to know. I have nothing to hide.
We offered the people named in this report a chance to have their say, but no one with the town of McBee responded. Jarrell Wright handed his cell phone over to SLED, including...
Okay, so it's a lot going on here. It's a lot going on in the state of South Carolina. I'm going to keep showing you. It's our whole state. And there are police departments who want to legitimize. They want to rebuild faith with the public. They don't like these actions. And I'm going to show you tomorrow what happens to people who simply try to do the right thing, like Officer Wright. He wanted to repent. He wanted to say, hey, I wanted to be an officer. I kind of got wrapped up in the camaraderie, the friendship, the expectations of superior officers, and I did things that I would not have probably done without that influence, that supervision that guided me to do what I did. So he's wanting to become transparent. He's wanting to come forward. He's wanting for things to get better. But there are a lot of consequences for that action. And I'm going to show you more tomorrow. But for now, I'm going to give you a couple updates on some situations that, you might find interesting and you need to know. Remember, it was a couple episodes ago where the athlete was arrested by a deputy who we later found out had some issues in his professional career that were not reported properly to the academy. It was just said that he had some conduct that was inappropriate for an officer, something similar to that. He signed a statement saying that he was having sex while on duty with women. That's all it says. I encourage you to find out more about those women. I don't know. I'm going to leave that alone. But so according to our law here in South Carolina, that's fornication. If you're not married to him, you can't be doing that. I know it's a little too much for our generation, but when I was a kid, but I honestly understand human nature is a complicated thing. What we needed to talk about is how that officer was handled. That officer was fired at Lexington. There's not really a clear public record of what happened with Richland County, but there is definitely something that happened with Richland County that no one wants us to know. And what happened with Lexington County was not documented for us to really understand. And that's concerning because that's creating problems. It's creating problems for the officer because he's not being held accountable. So when he's not held accountable, other officers do things and they feel entitled to not be held accountable for what they do. And so it begins a series of unfortunate events. Like this officer came real close to ruining this athlete's life. And no matter what happens, all of us are still today talking about bird poop about this athlete when that conversation should have never been a national news update every day for a long time. And it could have been prevented. It could have been prevented. These poor people who are now financially struggling could have been prevented. I'm speechless over it. But I'm going to show you that it is up to the individual department. We have another department who had an officer who decided that he was going to, instead of doing his job, because I believe while you're on duty, you're probably pretty busy. You probably have a lot of responsibilities that you need to tend to. I can't even imagine I couldn't do it if I wanted to. But you can. You filled out the application. You knew the job responsibilities. I didn't see anywhere on the job protocol where you needed to be sexting, possibly with minors, and definitely with multiple women, soliciting personal experiences while you're on the clock getting paid to protect and serve the public. But this deputy handled his situation differently. This sheriff acknowledges that while human error it's going to happen. Our Constitution was founded on rights that try to navigate the fact that humans are going to be human. We make mistakes. But this sheriff realizes that accountability is a part of keeping your police force safe and keeping the trust of the public that you serve.
A Richland County deputy is now being charged with misconduct in office. 29-year-old Christopher Moore arrested yesterday after an internal investigation, and authorities say he used his position to initiate contact with a woman after a traffic stop. Investigators say he called her using his department-issued phone. After learning about the misconduct back on June 19th, he was fired the following day. He was also arrested and charged Tuesday. Sheriff Lott sharing a statement today on the department's Facebook page, writing in part, quote, "It's incidents like this that lead to mistrust in police, and I will not tolerate it. We have so many good deputies, and it angers me to have one amongst us that has betrayed the community's trust. But rest assured that I will hold my deputies who break the law accountable." Moore was with the department for about 18 months, working as a community action team deputy. Moore was also booked over at the Richland County Jail.
Here's the biggest thing that comes to my mind. Athletes. If we don't expect their highest performance, if we allow mediocrity, they're never going to be at their highest performance. So I'm encouraged to see someone who expects high performance. I understand it's hard to meet those goals, and I don't want the goals to be so far out there that they're unachievable. But it says a lot for the superior on a team, the captain of a team, to expect high performance.